What's going on, everybody? Fesky here, and today I'm going to be ranking all the raids in Destiny 2 that I've done. I say that because there's only one raid in this whole row that I have not done yet, and that is Wrath of the Machine, because by the time Wrath of the Machine came out, I quit Destiny 1, and I got my proudest moment, but I was just like I had nobody to play with. Like for all of D1, I was a loner, and then for all these other raids, I either LFG'd or actually found a group. Finally, but Wrath is the only one that I haven't done, and trying to get a group for Wrath like now is it's pretty difficult. All right, now to start off, we got Crota's End. That is where you go fight Oryx's son Crota from Destiny 1. So what was in this raid? The beginning was awesome. Jumping down the Hellmouth, um, the Thrall with the lamps. After that, it was the bridge that everybody cheesed, and then followed by what was the? I don't know if the counter between the bridge and the daughters is an encounter, or if that's just a transition zone with all the thralls and shriekers. Then after that, it's the daughters, which could be cheesed, and then after that, Crota, which was pretty much a joke of a raid boss. I've two-manned this raid. Like it was it was a lot of fun to go in here and try to two-man. I haven't done the hard mode for it when the old raids got updated in Destiny 1, but from when I first played this on normal mode, it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't really that challenging. And I didn't really get any good loot from it, so I'm just gonna put it down at a C tier. Oh, and also, like, none of these raids I would say are bad raids. Like they're all amazing raids. Oh, except for Eater of Worlds. But other than that, like this is some of the best content that Destiny has. All right, next up is Crown of Sorrow. This one is with the Season of Opulence, I believe, for Destiny 2. Oh, that doesn't go there yet. But like this is a raid layer, which is just like a diet version of a full-on raid. So less encounters, less boss fights. I don't even think raid layers did have a boss fight like a. Well, no, the Crown of Sorrow did. It had the helmet guy, little chubby dude right before the big chubby dude, Galaron. I just played Hearthstone, so I just can't remember. It was Galaron. It was Galaron, not Galakron. But this had a really annoying opening where you had to do 7 rounds of the buff swapping, and after that it was a platforming section followed by the little chubby dude and then the big chubby guy. I would put this along at C, mainly because like the Season of Opulence was a really fun season to play, and the Menagerie I played for up until it got vaulted as of last November. But the Teraba, I just got the Teraba on from the exotic kiosk because I wasn't able to get it from any of these drops. But it wasn't that good. It was just a worse version of Recluse. And as a legendary, or not legendary, and as an exotic SMG, I don't think it does enough to like warrant picking it over picking something like Huckleberry or Risk Runner for being a raid exotic. Now we get to the Deep Stone Crypt. So this includes going into space, a lot of fun encounters, and by fun, I mean like all the encounters are fun except for Atrax, which is like it puts your skills to the test really. But I hate it. I hate Atrax because he occasionally regenerates health. My raid team ran into a couple bugs, but nothing that's game breaking. Where the suppressor would shoot Taniks, but nothing would happen, or uh, I usually play the operator, and I know there are some times that doors wouldn't open or open on time when I was shooting them, even when the players were at their respective spots. But overall, like nothing totally breaking that made us just hate the raid. It has a really good amount of enemies, so I'm just gonna leave this up at A. The Taniks fight, um, I think it would be better if like my team could four-man it, but we do the two nuke strategy, and it's just been working out. And it looks like the raid. I haven't gotten the raid exotic from this yet, but it looks absolutely monstrous. Eater of Worlds. I'm just gonna throw this at D tier. This is basically just a big strike. Like you can probably run the corrupted, or you can probably run Eater of Worlds faster than you can run through the corrupted strike. There's no raid exotic, I believe. You just get the catalyst for Telesto from this raid, and Telesto doesn't really need, like, I think, and I'm pretty sure Telesto's catalyst just increases its capacity, ammo capacity, so it doesn't even do anything special. The first part is follow the leader, essentially, and with some variations to that, where you split your team up into two groups for a little bit, just getting pelted by snipers. Then following that is the what was that encounter? Oh yeah, it was just add clear. Add clear for 3 waves. Yep, that's it for that. Then it's this raid is literally just like a children's game simulator. It's after the wave add clear, it's red light, green light. You gotta time it with the exploding coils or whatever. And then you get to like dismantling mines, yes. And then I think his name's Argos. Like dismantling mine, like the Argos fight was pretty fun and interesting, and you had to dismantle like his little hinges and the sides of his thing to continue the damage phase. But the entire raid leading up to this is just not fun. There's no intricate raid mechanics. It's just, it's pretty lame. On to Garden of Salvation. So this came out with Shadowkeep, which was not the best of expansions, but I'm gonna throw this. Actually, it goes above Eater of Worlds, but I hate Garden of Salvation. Whenever I run this, there's always some sort of bug or something that my group just gets screwed over by. Whenever it's to the final boss, it would be we would have all 30 motes into one thing, but it wouldn't tether for some reason, and other times it would tether. So I guess I'm not that familiar with the mechanics, but this is my list, damn it. This has a raid exotic associated with it. To get the divinity, you need to go through a quest and beat the raid, but you don't get any like raid or exotic drops from the raid. The armor's pretty cool, but I don't really like playing this raid. And if there's ever a choice between any of these other raids and Garden, I would pick any of the other raids. Maybe not Eater. King's Fall. So I don't want to let nostalgia get too much in the way, but King's Fall was an amazing raid. Had the Touch of Malice with it. It had 3 bosses, I believe, before the final raid boss. It was tied with the campaign. I think this is honestly an S tier. I remember teaching this raid back in D1 to people running hard mode multiple times. The taken weapons. There was the regular base version of the weapons, and there was the harrowed versions. And I still, whenever I just hop onto D1 just to see how everything's going, I always use I think it's the Defiance of Yasmin? I can't remember the exact name, but it was a sniper rifle from the raid, and it's one of my favorites of all time. Leviathan, I would just put Leviathan at B. It's a game show type of raid where you just go into 4 rooms. It's like, oh, this one is the dogs, you gotta kill all the dogs. And then it's bathtub, you gotta raise all the stuff and shoot it. There's an underbelly that was tied to a quest. I forgot what quest it was tied to. But for the underbelly, people just brought up a map and looked at their way around. Leviathan's alright. It's not good or bad. Callus's room is annoying to do. Like, that's the only gripe with it. The final boss isn't really... Well, even though he can be one-faced pretty easily, the Void Room I've had so much troubles in. I don't know if it's because my teammates wouldn't cross-shoot, or if I was doing something wrong, but that was my experience with this raid, so I would just put it morbidly average. And Legend of Acrius is a pretty niche exotic. Like, it has places that it shines in, others where it doesn't. Oh, next up we have Last Wish. This is above King's Fall for me. I loved Last Wish. I loved every second of Last Wish. Just the feeling, it's the same feeling that you get from King's Fall. You're taking on something that's like so big, and it's like you're actually going in somewhere and taking like a full like or an actual raid. You're going in there. There's the first daughter, not the daughter, the first witch from the queen, and there's the second witch from the queen, which is a little more annoying. Then you had the ogre, Vorgoth or Morgoth or whatever. After that was the vault, which is one of my favorite encounters because everything had to be involved like knowledge. Like nobody can just get in there and do it, even though it is kind of easy, but at the same time it just requires you to turn a few more cogs in your brain. And then the Riven fight, a lot of fun, and it's easily farmable. And at the time this came out, Thousand Voices was one of the best DPS weapons just for getting through strikes or gambit or whatever. Oh, and then we get to Spire of Stars. This one was the raid I was most scared of. Well, this is another raid layer. I was most scared to do this because I saw Dado's video on how to do this, and it was, excuse me, it was one of the most complicated things I've ever seen explained to me, and I had no idea what to do until I hopped in an LFG and started running through it. Doesn't have any super interesting rewards. I think it's the Leviathan set, but redone. The sleeper, people mainly run through this for the sleeper catalyst and for the exotic emote, but they gave the exotic emote to anybody that finished it during the MMXX area time frame. The final boss had a lot of mechanics associated with it to get to DPS phase. It was cool how you can get shot out into the ship and take down other ships. I would give it a B tier, even though the raid group that I usually run raids with now are so bad at this last part. Whenever you have to throw all the balls at them, they just throw it. I don't know how they miss. People in my group miss, and it's annoying, but I won't let that impact what I think about this raid. Scourge of the Past, easily A tier. Anarchy is one of the best exotics in the game right now. It's used for DPS on almost every single other raid boss, especially when contest mode is activated. This was the first raid, I believe, to have sparrows as part of the mechanics. Not mechanics, but as part of the encounters. Insurrection Prime had a really fun, I would say really fun way of doing DPS. And there was the maze. Oh, I love the little underground sewer maze, and then the Sparrow Race, which brought me back to SRL. It was just an all-around great experience, so I would list Scourge of the Past at A tier. Then we have the first raid ever to come across Destiny, the Vault of Glass. Now running through this the first time was like something special. I think it took, whatever group I ran with, it took us like 8 hours or 9 hours to go through Vault of Glass, just because none of us have done it before, and we were just looking at up guides to do it. And hard mode was even, well, it didn't take as long in hard mode. It was just the same thing, but with harder ads. I would put Vault of Glass at A tier. It had an awesome raid exotic as the Vex Mythoclast. Atheon was kind of a pushover, but when you first ran through this, you got sent to Venus or you got sent to Mars, and then you had the Gorgons, the Gorgon Maze. Oh my god, that was so much fun, and I miss it. And so I'm just gonna put this at A tier because it had good loot. Oh, and it had an exotic sparrow associated with it. I don't know. I have no idea why Bungie has never done this for any other raid. This was a sparrow that you can go faster, but you blow up if you go too faster for too long. Like, they need to do this more. It was so much fun. And finally, Wrath of the Machine. I've never done Wrath of the Machine. I've just watched videos. I've watched the World's First. But Wrath of the Machine, from the looks of it, I would put it up in A tier. Just because all the visuals are really cool. The fallen machine on the city wall looks pretty dope. And the final boss looked pretty cool as well. Was the last boss for this Taniks? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on this. I'm gonna give it a quick quick search. All right, it's Axis, not Taniks. Oh well. But yep, this is my tier list in all its glory. Let me know what you think down in the comments if you agree, disagree, and yeah, have a great day. See ya.